Fire rises from a stone altar in the middle of a field, and as the flame climbs into the evening sky, a figure begins to rise with it, ascending straight up through the smoke, disappearing into the heavens, right before the eyes of a husband and wife who can do nothing but watch. The man drops to the ground. He is certain in that moment that he and his wife are about to die, not because anything has attacked them, not because they've done anything wrong, but because they have just realized, far too late, exactly who they were talking to. This is not a legend. This is the true, strange, and largely overlooked account of Manoah and his wife, the parents of Samson, and their direct encounter with the angel of the Lord. It is a story about the terror of holiness, the mercy hidden inside that terror, and a wife whose simple logic saved her husband from his own despair. To understand why this encounter happens at all, you have to understand the condition Israel was in at the time. The book of Judges describes a repeating cycle. Israel turns away from God. God allows an enemy nation to oppress them as discipline. The people cry out, and God raises up a deliverer. By this point in the cycle, the enemy is the Philistines, a powerful, war-hardened people who have dominated Israel for 40 years. Scripture doesn't even record Israel crying out to God this time, which makes what happens next even more remarkable. God moves to rescue his people before they've even asked him to. In the town of Zorah, in the tribe of Dan, there lived a man named Manoah. His wife is never named in Scripture, referred to only as the wife of Manoah, yet she is, in many ways, the central figure of this entire encounter. She was barren, unable to have children, in a culture where childlessness carried enormous social and personal weight. There is no indication in the text that she was praying for a child in that moment. No build-up, no warning. She was simply going about her life when everything changed in an instant. The angel of the Lord appeared to her. Scripture doesn't describe his appearance in this first encounter, only his words, and they are staggering. He tells her that although she is barren and has had no children, she will conceive and give birth to a son. But this is no ordinary birth announcement. The angel gives her specific, unusual instructions. She is to drink no wine or strong drink and eat nothing unclean, because the son she carries is to be a Nazirite to God from the womb, a status of special consecration marked by strict vows, including never cutting his hair. And then comes the reason behind all of it. This child will begin to save Israel from the hand of the Philistines. She runs to find her husband, breathless, trying to explain what just happened. A man of God came to me, and his appearance was like the appearance of the angel of God. Very awesome. Notice she doesn't immediately identify him as the angel of the Lord. She describes him the way anyone would describe an encounter too strange to fully categorize. Awe-inspiring, terrifying, not quite human. She recounts everything he told her: the coming son, the Nazirite vow, the mission to begin delivering Israel. Manoah's response reveals a man who takes this seriously, but who also, understandably, wants confirmation for himself. He prays, and his prayer is worth noting for its humility. "O Lord, please let the man of God whom you sent come again to us and teach us what we are to do with the child who will be born." He isn't doubting his wife. He's asking for the privilege of hearing it directly, of being equipped himself for what's coming. God answers that prayer immediately. The angel of God comes again, but once more he appears first to the wife, while she is sitting alone in the field, her husband nowhere nearby. She runs again, urgently this time. "Behold, the man who came to me the other day has appeared to me." Manoah gets up and follows her back to the field. And now, for the first time, he stands face to face with the being his wife has already encountered twice. Manoah asks him directly, "Are you the man who spoke to my wife?" The angel confirms it is him. And then Manoah, still treating this as an encounter with a prophet or messenger, rather than something far greater, asks a very human, practical question. Now, when your words come true, what is to be the child's manner of life? And what is his mission? He wants a parenting manual. He wants to know how to raise this extraordinary son correctly. The angel's answer is almost dismissive of the question, redirecting Manoah back to what has already been said. He simply repeats the instructions already given to the wife. She must avoid wine, strong drink, and anything unclean, and observe everything commanded. There will be no additional secret information. The instructions God has already given are sufficient. Then Manoah does something deeply human, something anyone hosting an honored guest in that culture would naturally do. He offers hospitality. Please let us detain you and prepare a young goat for you. He wants to feed this visitor, to honor him properly, still operating under the assumption that he's dealing with a remarkable but ultimately human messenger. The angel's response is the first real crack in that assumption. If you detain me, I will not eat of your food. But if you prepare a burnt offering, then offer it to the Lord. This is a subtle but massive distinction. A human guest eats food offered to him. This visitor refuses food, but instructs Manoah that if he wants to prepare something, it should be offered as a sacrifice to God, not consumed as a meal between men. The text adds, almost as an aside from the narrator, that Manoah still did not know that he was the angel of the Lord. The reader knows. Manoah doesn't, not yet. Still not understanding, Manoah asks one more question, and this one matters enormously. What is your name, so that when your words come true, we may honor you? He wants to be able to properly credit and celebrate this messenger when the promised son is born. The angel's answer is one of the most theologically loaded moments in the entire passage. Why do you ask my name, seeing it is wonderful? The Hebrew word used here for wonderful shares the same root as the word that would later appear in Isaiah's messianic prophecy, describing the coming child as Wonderful Counselor, a term reserved for something beyond ordinary human comprehension, something belonging to the divine realm. This isn't a polite dodge. It's a hint at exactly who Manoah is standing in front of. By the way, if you're enjoying stories like this, take a second to like and subscribe. It really helps us keep making them. Manoah then takes a young goat along with a grain offering and offers it up on a rock to the Lord. And this is the moment everything changes. As the flame goes up from the altar toward heaven, the angel of the Lord ascends in the flame of the altar, rising up into the sky in full view of both Manoah and his wife. There is no farewell, no explanation, no final wave. The messenger simply rises with the fire itself, back into the heavens from which he came. Manoah and his wife fall on their faces to the ground, and in that instant, understanding finally crashes over Manoah with full force. This was not a prophet. This was not an ordinary messenger who could be fed a meal and thanked with proper hospitality. This was the angel of the Lord, a divine appearance, a manifestation of God's own presence, and Manoah has just realized, far too late for comfort, exactly who has been standing in his field. His reaction is immediate and full of dread. We shall surely die, for we have seen God. This wasn't an overreaction. Throughout the Old Testament, there is a consistent and deeply held conviction that no sinful human being can look directly upon the fullness of God's presence and survive. That the sheer holiness of God is lethal to fallen humanity in its natural state. Manoah is not being dramatic. He genuinely believes, based on everything he understands about God's nature, that he and his wife are about to die simply because they have seen what they've seen. And here is where his wife, nameless in the text, but clearly the sharper theological mind of the two of them in this moment, offers one of the most quietly brilliant pieces of reasoning found anywhere in Scripture. If the Lord had meant to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering at our hands, or shown us all these things, or now announced to us such things as these. Her logic is simple, but it's airtight. A God intent on destroying them would not have just given them a detailed, gracious promise about a son who would deliver Israel. He would not have accepted their sacrifice. He would not have taken the time to explain Nazirite vows and future missions to people he intended to strike dead moments later. The very fact that God had just invested so much in blessing them was itself the proof that they were safe. It's a remarkable moment of practical faith cutting straight through raw fear. Manoah, standing in the aftermath of genuine divine encounter, could only see the terror of God's holiness. His wife, standing in the exact same field, having witnessed the exact same fire, saw the evidence of God's favor sitting right there in front of them and reasoned her way to peace. Scripture doesn't record Manoah's response to her argument, only what happens next. The woman bore a son, and they named him Samson. The child grew, and the Lord blessed him, and the Spirit of the Lord began to stir him in the camp of Dan, between Zorah and Eshtaol, the beginning of a life that would eventually shake the Philistine Empire to its foundations, a life marked from birth by supernatural strength, tragic weakness, and ultimately a death that accomplished more against Israel's enemies than his entire life combined. But before any of that story unfolds, this smaller, quieter moment in a field near Zorah stands on its own as something profound. A childless woman meets God in the middle of an ordinary day. A husband, wanting to do everything right, follows up with careful questions and proper hospitality, only to discover he has been standing in the presence of the divine the entire time. And when the fire rises and the messenger ascends with it, what's left behind isn't destruction, but a promise, confirmed, sealed, and about to bear fruit. There is something worth sitting with in Manoah's fear and his wife's clear-eyed faith. Manoah's instinct, the conviction that seeing God's holiness up close should terrify us, was not wrong. Throughout Scripture, genuine encounters with the presence of God consistently produce exactly this reaction: falling to the ground, overwhelming dread, an acute awareness of unworthiness in the face of pure holiness. But his wife's instinct matters just as much. She looked at the same fire, the same ascending figure, the same overwhelming moment, and asked a different question. Not what does this reveal about how dangerous God is, but what does this reveal about what God has already given us? A God who accepts an offering, who explains himself, who makes promises about the future, is not a God moving to destroy the people he's just spoken with. He is a God already at work saving them, even in the very moment they're too afraid to recognize it. That tension, the holy terror of standing before God, and the quiet reassurance that his engagement with us is itself evidence of his mercy, runs through the entire story of Scripture. It's there in Isaiah's vision of the throne room, where a burning coal touches unclean lips, not to punish but to cleanse. It's there in the fire that consumed Manoah's offering but left the man and his wife standing. And it points forward to the ultimate demonstration of that same truth: a God who, rather than remaining distant and consuming in his holiness, would one day come near in the flesh, bear the fire of judgment himself, and leave those who encounter him not destroyed, but saved.